Hello everybody out there on YouTube, and welcome to the penultimate race / race number 35 of Season 7 of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series. I am Levi McIntyre, the voice of the NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series, here to welcome you to the Sprite Challenge here at Lime Rock Park. This is the first time in a little while that we've been to this classic road course that used to be a staple on this channel, and now it's returned to be a staple for the channel from here on out, I would think. But this is the race before the finale at Kansas, and the championship battle is getting rather one-sided right now, as I haven't done this in a little while, but the top three in points recap: Dylan Jacobs extended his points lead to 61 points over Matt McIntyre and 64 over Jay Jefferson. So the scenario here: if Dylan Jacobs were to finish bottom 5 and Jefferson and McIntyre were able to get top 10 finishes, then they would find a way to be mathematically in contention to still be in the hunt for the championship. But if they do not get at least 25 points respectively for both Jefferson and McIntyre, if they cannot get 25 points, then Dylan Jacobs might end up clinching the championship today before the Kansas race. So just going to point that out there for you guys to remember. But before we get to the command, front row for today, Raphael Leduc is on the pole for today with Rob Evans starting in second. Let's get the command to fire engines for the Sprite Challenge at Lime Rock Park.
Drivers, start your engines.
Also forgot to mention that if Dylan Jacobs were to finish ahead of both Jefferson and McIntyre, or at least be within about 10 positions of them, then he would still clinch the championship. But the rest of the top 10 in the running order for the starting lineup: row 2 is Caleb Kilburn, Melissa Alexander. Row 3, Cody Lamas, Alyssa Drayson. Row 4, Raphael Fireblade, Zachary Fitzwater. Then row 5 is Cole Deaver, Charles Sanford. Pace car pulling into pit road now, and we're about ready to get the penultimate race underway here at Lime Rock Park. Ladies and gentlemen, boogity boogity boogity, let's go racing. Rob Evans actually took the lead from Raphael Leduc on the first lap of this race, which is a little bit strange considering the inside lane always seems to be the preferred lane here at Lime Rock, but it was around this part of the track where Rob Evans was able to pass Raphael Leduc and then clear him off of that corner they just came through right there. And Raphael Leduc's actually starting to lose time to Rob Evans, but keep this in mind, pit frequency at 3x. Perhaps pit stops could become a factor in this race. Maybe not. We'll see how it all plays out for these drivers. But right now, Rob Evans is looking pretty good to perhaps finally getting his first career Marvel Studios Cup Series win, as he's pulling away from the 62 of Rafael Leduc, but Rafael Leduc is still trying to keep a streak going of getting at least one win in every single season in Marvel Studios Cup Series competitions history, if that even made any sense. But right now, he's got a tough mountain to climb as he lost over a second of time on that previous lap, so he's going to have to really be conservative and perhaps push it in the corners in hopes of Rob Evans making some mistakes and running him down. Meanwhile, back here, we got a battle going on for the 4th position between Cody Lamas and Melissa Alexander in the 28 car. And it looks like Melissa is going to clear Cody Lamas, and Lamas now under fire from Raphael Fireblade. How ironic. As these two are looking to perhaps go at it for position, and this would be for the 5th position on the racetrack. Back up at the front, Rob Evans' lead continues to grow as it's now 2.3 seconds between he and Leduc. But let's go search for our Championship 3 drivers, see where they are on track. There's Matt McIntyre, was last scored 28th on track, so not looking too good for the driver second in the point standings. Then there's our points leader, Dylan Jacobs, last scored 18th, but going for 17th on track. And then there's Jay Jefferson, who was last scored 12th. So currently, Jefferson is the highest driver of the top 3 in standings on track, but even this would not be enough to keep Jefferson in championship contention. That 5 car is going to have to hope for something drastic to happen to the 78th. Meanwhile, we might have the battle between Kilburn and Alexander that I saw at the beginning of the race for around 3rd position might come back underway as Caleb Kilburn's starting to be a little bit slower on track, and look at the move Melissa Alexander just made into that corner, side by side for the 3rd position between these two Ford drivers. But they are technically teammates, but they're affiliate teammates, as Zev Bellringer Enterprises and Average Joe Enterprises are in a close relationship to one another. And Melissa Alexander finally clearing Caleb Kilburn to get up to 3rd. Does perhaps the 28 have something for not only the 62 but the 88? And Rob Evans just crossed the line, now to a 3.3 second lead over the 62. And I don't know what's been going on with Leduc. Ever since he got passed on the first lap by Rob Evans, he's just not been able to keep up all that much. Meanwhile, Melissa Alexander trying to run down to 62, but now also has the 99 of Kilburn right on her back bumper, and Kilburn trying to get back to 3rd, as these two are just not giving up right now. So we're seeing some good racing for 3rd between the 28 and the 99, as Rob Evans continues to just dominate this race, and I'm looking around to see where the Championship 3 are. Matt McIntyre continuing to lose valuable positions and points, and just barely above everyone in the bottom 5 to try and still get points. And then as far as Dylan Jacobs, he was last scored 15th, so he's been moving his way up through the field little by little. Let's see here at the line where he scored in now, 14th. Jay Jefferson up to 10th, so even at that, currently as it would stand, Jefferson would gain 4 points over Jacobs, but would still be 60 out, which would be too big of a gap to try and close in on for the championship. Nonetheless, however, back up at the front, Rob Evans still pulling away with the race lead here at Lime Rock, as Raphael Leduc just continues to struggle. And in fact, Rob Evans actually has the fastest lap on track by a big margin at a 56.444 overall in this race. So he has just been a rocket today here at Lime Rock. Although this time for lap times he was 1 second slower than usual. But I think that might be because of tire wear starting to kick in. But they're pretty much right on the halfway point, so no matter what, if they have to pit, they'll be able to make it on a one-stop race more than likely. Matt McIntyre, I'm checking him out right now, and he's currently in that bottom 5, and he almost got turned by Cole Baker. That would have been dangerous. Jonathan Zorlane actually just went by Melissa Alexander to take the 4th position, and meanwhile we got a little cluster of cars battling from 5th on back. Jay Jefferson's been gradually moving his way up through the field, up to 9th now. Although actually might be... yeah, I think he'll be 9th at the line. But pit stops are beginning. Melissa Alexander pulled into pit road, so she was the first one to come into the pits. DJ Curtis gonna follow suit. Anybody else electing to come in right now? Nope, it's only Melissa and Curtis that elect to come into pit road this time. Now, this pit stop is going to be crucial for Rob Evans, because if he ends up having a slow pit stop, it could cost him the race, depending on what strategy he might go for. And I'm looking, and I believe Melissa Alexander going with, looks like 4 tires, and DJ Curtis might have went with 2 tires. So perhaps some differing strategies might go down as Rob Evans comes into pit road. Rafael LeDuc going to stay out another lap to get a bonus point for finally leading a lap. Does anybody else come in with him? No, it doesn't look like it. Rob Evans was the only one, it looks like, who elected to come in out of the front runners. And yeah, he was the only one, literally the only one to come in. Nobody else from the back even decided to come into pit road. So this could be a benefit, or it could be a detriment to Rafael LeDuc getting the win, because he's still out on track. Trying to look around, and Rob Evans finally does get out of pit road, but I didn't get to stay on him to see if he went with 4 tires or 2 tires. I want to assume he took 4, considering the amount of time he was in pit road for. Rafael LeDuc going to stay out longer. I don't know if this is going to be the right strategy in the end, but nobody else is coming into pit road. I'm not sure if... I don't know what some of these drivers are doing, but the majority of the field still have yet to come to pit road in this race, and only 3 drivers have been into pit road. Rob Evans, DJ Curtis, Melissa Alexander. Everybody else is still out on the racetrack. And Rafael LeDuc still hangs on to the lead with less than 5 to go. But as I said, depending on what happens, if or when they come to pit road, what strategies are going to go for, how long are they going to be in pit lane for, can they maneuver around pit road pretty well, we'll see when the time comes. But LeDuc staying out even longer, so too does the top 5. Jay Jefferson staying out, Dylan Jacobs staying out, nobody else is coming into pit road, which is really, really odd. Yeah, literally nobody else is coming into pit road. It's just only been those 3 that I mentioned. But right now, Rafael LeDuc leads by 1 3/4 of a second over the 99 of Caleb Kilburn. I don't know, maybe Rafael LeDuc was maybe laying back to save a little bit of gas in hopes he can make it to the end. I don't know, but if that were the case, that would be an excellent strategy on the part of Rafael LeDuc. But man, if he has to come into pit road, it's going to really backfire. But if he can cross the line here, it'd be 3 laps to go to conclude this race, and he's still going to stay out. Everybody in the top 5 staying out. Looks like everybody from the top 10's going to stay out another lap. So this could be genius on the part of Rafael Leduc. I'm not sure if it's going to last, but if he were to pull this off, this would be one of the most impressive victories in Marvel Studios competition in quite some time. But it looks like another car came into pit road, Michael Norman, who won at Talladega this past week. Leduc's still out on track, but he's losing ground as Caleb Kilburn is slowly closing in, as he's now less than 1.4 seconds back, according to scoring at the line, behind Rafael Leduc. So I don't know if Leduc is still playing conservative mode or what. But when we get to the line, it will be 2 laps to go. Oh, but Leduc couldn't keep it out there much longer. Caleb Kilburn staying out. So too does Zorleen. And I don't even see Jay Jefferson up here. Oh, there he is. I thought I lost him. But Leduc, I guess he just couldn't stay out there much longer. And that tells me the rest of these guys may not make it on fuel either. Although it looks like, perhaps was it only Leduc who came in that time? Yeah, it looks like, oh no, Jesse Turner's coming in too. So, still not that many cars, but Caleb Kilburn inherits the lead for now. But Jonathan Zorleen is closing in on the 99. So depending on what happens with pit stops, if these guys still have to pit before the race is over, this could be the battle for the win between 2 Fords, but from different teams. Kilburn leads for now, but Zorleen is right there. Dylan Jacobs looking to continue his path to try and clinch the championship, and the top 2 stay out an extra lap. And the white flag is going to be displayed. And as I'm looking around, white flag is out. Zorleen is there to the bottom. And he's going to try and make the pass. Zorleen and Kilburn side by side for the win. That is if these guys have enough fuel to make it to the end. That is the question. But Zorleen looks like he clears Kilburn to get the lead. Jonathan Zorleen, who's been the bottom guy for Curtis McIntyre Racing this season, is still looking for his first win for Season 7, and unless Kilburn says otherwise, it looks like it might belong to him. Zorleen, if he can hold off Kilburn through this final corner and down the straightaway, he's going to get it. And it looks like it's going to be Zorleen. Checkered flag waving without pitting at all. Jonathan Zorleen wins the Sprite Challenge at Lime Rock. Really bizarre race in the second half as Rob Evans, who led and dominated the first half of the race, came in the pit road and nobody else came into the pits afterwards, apart from maybe 5 or 6 other cars. But the majority of the field was able to make it on 1 tank of fuel, and Jonathan Zorleen wins for the first time this season, finally. And he gets it at Lime Rock of all tracks. But let's take a look at the rest of the results. Caleb Kilburn was so close to winning here today, but just got outraced at the end by the 41. Charles Sanford getting yet another top 5 finish in the 3rd position. Jay Jefferson with a great run in 4th. However, Dylan Jacobs, the points leader, finishing in 5th and is now clinched the Marvel Studios Cup Series Championship. No matter what happens at Kansas next week, Dylan Jacobs is your first ever 2-time NNSCRA Marvel Studios Cup Series champion. So no matter what happens, Jacobs is still champion. But let's look at the rest of the top 10. Cole Deaver, another great top 10 finish in the 6th position. Benjamin Miles still trying to end this season on a high note, gets another good run in 7th. Raphael Fireblade, I believe, was the highest finishing rookie, finishing in 8th. Julia Katrine, solid run in 9th, and then Zachary Fitzwater rounding out the top 10. There's your top 20, top 30, and then the bottom 5 for this week were Rafael Leduc, Melissa Alexander, Michael Norman, Jesse Turner, and DJ Curtis. As you are watching Jonathan Zorleen's victory burnout, congrats to Dylan Jacobs for clinching the championship, but we still do have one race left to see who can win, and that's the Banquet 400 at Kansas. But until then, here are your results, rookie points, and regular points heading into Kansas. And this is Levi McIntyre signing off.